Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode on Career Kickstart Conversations. Today, we have a topic. Is HR really on your side? A lot of you have a lot of opinions on this and your own experiences, but today we actually are meeting with Latisha Newby, professional in HR. I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be here and to be a part of this conversation. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. And so my name is Latisha Newby. I am the Chief People and Legal Officer at Girl Scouts, North Carolina Coastal Pines. I also own my own consulting business, which is called Cultivate HR Consulting. And so I've been in HR for 20 years now. I actually started in HR as, I like to say I fell into HR. So I started as an administrative office manager. And one day my CEO called me in his office and he said, Latisha, we need some more help with HR. Can you help us? I was like, of course I can.
What's HR?
And you're right. At the time, I knew nothing of HR, right? And so I left his office and started looking it up really quickly so that
What did I get myself into?
So I could be prepared. That's right. But it was really the launch pad for me and this career in HR, because that first experience, really learning HR, learning what HR was all about, led me to then move into a benefits consultant role. And then from there, I moved into an HR specialist role, and then a generalist role, and then a director's role, right? And so
To C-level.
yes, to ultimately now serving as the Chief HR, Chief People Officer. And so I like to say, I've done all the roles. I've had all the experience and really have a good understanding of what it takes to do this work in HR.
Yeah, that's a great intro. So you're the right person we're talking to about this topic today. So if you think people are dying to know and get your answer for this, are you on the employee side or the business side? Who do you choose?
I love this question. I like to say my answer is yes, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that's because in HR, ultimately, we work for the organization. Everyone in the company works for the organization. And that means the employees, that means HR, that means the leadership, right? We all are there to serve the organization and the goals of the organization. But in HR, our role is to support the whole organization. And so that means we also support the employees and what their needs are, as well as the managers and the leaders and what their needs are. And so we really try to take this balanced approach to make sure that while we can support the leadership, while we support managers, we also are helping them cultivate an environment where employees can do their best work. Because guess what? There is no organization without the employees. And so we are there to help ensure not just that we comply with the laws, which yes, we have to do that part, but also what kind of culture are we cultivating in this space? And how do we ensure that our employees show up in a way that they're happy to be here, happy to be a part of our mission, happy to be a part of our work, so that they can do their best work, which ultimately helps the managers, the leaders, and the company as a whole.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a great way of putting it. It's an organization. And I think employees almost, not literally forget, but kind of forget that they're a piece of that. It's
right.
not the employee versus the employer.
That's
not
right.
even what a business wants.
That's
because how are you going to grow and fit your culture and do all these things and to be successful as a business together? Because if your employees aren't happy, your business probably isn't going to prosper.
That's right.
But
absolutely. That's right.
Okay. So jumping into some LinkedIn trends, I was all over LinkedIn and it just pops up in my feed now. But exit interviews, there's a thing going around on LinkedIn. Skip the exit interview. Don't do it. If they're just prying for information, like there's all these stories. Is it true?
Yeah.
Like what is an exit interview and what's the purpose of it?
Yeah, so the exit interview in of itself is just a tool. It is a feedback tool, right? It is a way for the employee to share their experience, to share their thoughts, share their feelings about their experience in the workplace. And so while I think exit interviews are a little reactive in that they're happening at the point that the employee is leaving, they are still a good tool to gather feedback, especially if you're an employee and maybe there are some things that you wanted to share that you really didn't get a chance to, or you didn't feel comfortable. This is the time, right? You're leaving the organization. Share the feedback. I think what's more important than just having the exit interview, though, is for what happens with that information, right? So if you have the exit interview and you share feedback, the team needs to take that information and look at how do we use this to make the environment better, to change some of these things? What were those challenges that this employee had that maybe we didn't know about? And so now we can take that information and incorporate it into our processes so that it goes from being reactive to being proactive for the next employee or current employees, right? And so, yes, I think you should utilize that opportunity in an exit interview to share your honest feedback. Now, you want to do so in a way, right, that gets your message across, right? Because you don't want to have any bad blood when you leave. But I think it is truly an opportunity to give that feedback. And hopefully the organization is going to take that and actually implement it, use it to either implement or inform some things that they can do better and differently.
That's really good advice. So, and I've seen on here, even lawyers are coming out on LinkedIn saying, just don't go to the exit interview. Do you suggest people to just skip the exit interview altogether, or?
No, I mean, I really do see it as an opportunity to give some good feedback. I think it really comes down to the employee's experience, right? So what was your experience in the workplace? If you are leaving because you didn't feel supported, you didn't feel heard, you tried to give feedback, you tried to provide information, right? And you were dismissed, ignored, then I can understand somebody saying, well, why would I give additional feedback now? I tried that during the course of the relationship. But I think if that's truly not your experience, this is an opportunity to share feedback, to say, hey, these were the things that I really loved about this organization. These are some things that I think you can do differently, or even to just look back over your whole experience to say, these are things that I wish I would have known, or I wish we had, or here's the reason why I'm leaving, right? I think all of that is good information for the employer to then take that and really evaluate, how do we make this place better for our current employees who are staying, or even future? And you never know, you could always come back sometime.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you guys actually do the exit interviews to better the employee and the employees that are still there in the future and the company. It's not a gotcha moment to try to find, oh, they said this, now we can sue them or get that gotcha moment. It's not for that purpose at all.
Not at all. I mean, it is really an opportunity to better understand maybe why the employee is leaving and what their experience was like while they were here, especially if there wasn't an opportunity, or the employee doesn't feel like they've had an opportunity to share the feedback already. It's like, this is your chance, and you're leaving the organization. So what can you lose, right? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to just say, here was my experience, and good, bad, and different. Here's what I want you to know about what worked and what didn't. And then the employer can take that and ultimately make some changes. So that's really what we're looking for. We want to know what worked, what didn't, what can we do differently? Why are you leaving? What could we have done to keep you? Because all of that is good information for us in order to continue to cultivate that culture of the organization.
Yeah. I think a lot of people too who aren't in HR don't realize that, like in recruitment, we even look at these numbers as retention. We don't just try to fill roles. I mean, we do try to fill roles, but we're trying to fill roles of people who stay.
That's
and retention is a big KPI in recruitment, talent acquisition. We want people to stay. There's no KPI that's like, yes, we had turnover. Yes, we got rid of people. It's never, ever smiled upon at all.
That's right.
From my experience. So this leads me to stay interviews. I've never heard of that until last week, a stay interview. What are your thoughts on this? And have you heard this before?
Yes. So I have heard about stay interviews. I feel like they got popular a couple of years ago, maybe right during the pandemic time. They have been around before then, right? But there was a lot of popularity as people were changing roles and shifting, right? There was a push for stay interviews. And so this is a little bit different from your one-on-one, right, that you may have with a manager. Most of the time, your one-on-one is going to be focused on kind of what are we doing within the week? What are the challenges that I'm having? What are the roadblocks that I'm having? Maybe where I need my manager to layer in and support me. Your stay interview is really my opportunity, if I'm your leader, to understand what's working. What do you love about this place? What's not working? Where do you want to see yourself? What are those growth opportunities, even in your role in the organization? How can we help you get there? So it's more of a development conversation to help to understand, one, what is the employee really liking so far about the organization, the work they do, and what are the things that they are more interested in? How can we keep them engaged in the work that we currently have them doing? So a stay interview is more of a proactive tool, right? So I said earlier about exit interviews being reactive. Stay is, okay, you're here and I want to engage with you now to figure out, how do I keep you here? What do you love? What are the things you want to see? What's your next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? And how can we help you get there? It is really an engagement tool to make sure that that you are enjoying your work, or if you're not, what are the things in area? What are the areas, right, where I can help support you to make this work environment, this work culture that we keep talking about, to make that better for you?
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. So it was a couple years ago. I'm delayed. Okay, that's great information. So is there, I guess, could you give us an example of when you actually had, data from an exit interview or a stay interview and implemented it within the organization, or maybe it was just that team? Like, any examples of where you actually made a change from the employee's voice?
Yes. So I think there's one particularly that comes to mind. In my current role, we run summer camps. So in the summertime, we host summer camps that are usually about 8 weeks long. And they are, the youth will come and stay for the whole week. And so to staff these environments, we have camp directors and we hire seasonal staff. Now, our camp directors are year-round staff. So from, May to August, they are at the camp. They're living there. And a piece of feedback that we received in one of our exit interviews was for our camp directors who have to live on campus. They are there from Sunday to Saturday, right? They essentially get to go home one day. That there is this period of time for them from May to August where they're not staying in their own apartment, but they're likely still paying rent. And so from that discussion of around, okay, we know we have people who we need to fill these roles, right, who are going to run camp. As a camp director, you need to be on the property. And so we looked at a couple of options. One year we did some temporary housing. We actually set up some temporary housing for our camp staff to be able, for our camp directors to be able to have their own housing on property. And then we also gave them, it was a bonus, which was meant to help offset the cost that they spent on their rent for their apartment that they were not living in for those 3 months of summer camp, right? Yeah. So that was one of those things that we knew that this was going to be a problematic space for us. We knew we needed to have staff on the property. They needed to live there. They needed to be there. But we're also a nonprofit, right? And so our salaries don't always meet the level of competition as private industries. And so by offering this temporary bonus for those summer months, it helps to offset that expense for the employee. They had a place to live. They may still have to pay the rent, but at least they could use, they can use the money for whatever they want, right? But, but we saw it as an incentive to try to help offset some of that cost, knowing that, we're not profit. We can't necessarily increase their salary, but we can provide some temporary support during these months when we know we're expecting them to live on our properties and not in their own homes.
Okay. Yeah. So before, were they just having to find like a short-term living situation? Like it was on them to figure out their short-term living? Okay.
That's right. Well, let me clarify. They always lived on our property, but they had the expense of paying full rent for 3 months for a place that they couldn't live in. So the goal was really to give them individual housing. So they had shared housing previously. We wanted to give them, as a camp director, individual housing that they could have. And then also we offered the bonus to help offset their expense for paying the rent for where they were.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. Okay. That's great. So yeah.
And I would say even from that, so that was our temporary solution. And we're now looking at building some additional housing. So we have some how do I want to say this? I don't want to share too much of Girl Scout business. As part of our property plan, we're really looking at and evaluating how we can create housing for our camp directors, or at least create some shared space so that they can either have a space to live year round that would be included in their salary. So we currently have rangers that live on our camp properties and they live there year round. They don't pay for housing. They live there. So them and their families. And we're looking at how we could set up something similar for our camp directors.
Okay, great. So exit interviews, people, change does come from
Absolutely.
these conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it may not, I mean, I would even say in that situation, that was something that we heard for a few years, right? And so we knew that this was a problem, and it took a little bit of time to figure out, like, okay, what is the initial solution, and then what's our short-term solution, and what's our long-term solution. But that feedback has now, right, implemented these additional changes. So it may not always happen, right, just like that.
Yeah, well, yours is construction too.
That's right. That's right. But so the goal, though, is to look at what's being received to say, okay, what are the things that we can implement in short term, and what are the things that we have to put on a long-term path?
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. This gives the audience a really good insight as to like why it's happening. And it doesn't seem like there's any type of, gotcha. We're trying to get these employees in a moment to be prepared for a lawsuit or anything. I mean, that's, to me, that's not the purpose of exit interviews. If it's more, what is it called when there's like an investigation? If there is like legal stuff, it's not an exit interview. It's, what's it called? An investigation?
It's an investigation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I should know these things.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I know we're running up on time, but I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
Do you love Girl Scout cookies?
Oh my gosh. So
you have to, right?
No, seriously. I do love Girl Scout cookies. Now, funny enough, like I was a Girl Scout, but not a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout when I was very, very little, right? Like 5 years old. So, and it was like 1 year from records. So when people used to ask me like, were you a Girl Scout? I'm like, no, I wasn't a Girl Scout. Technically I was. But I didn't have the full Girl Scout experience. So now working for Girl Scouts, I mean, I love the cookies. We have a new cookie coming out this year called Explore Moors. It was just announced. It is a Rocky Road inspired cookie.
Oh,
so
cool.
if you like Rocky Road ice cream, and I've tried it, it's delicious. If you like Rocky Road ice cream, come January, we'll have a new cookie out. But yes, I love the cookies. Yes. And it's when I tell people that I work for Girl Scouts, they're like, oh, the cookies. Yeah. They don't even realize like there's a whole business behind Girl Scouts.
A huge one, yeah.
That's right. And we do a lot of other work, but
just
yes,
cookies.
Cookies are part of our brand. They're just part of our brand.
Yeah. It's good marketing and a great product that you guys make.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This gives a lot of people insight from someone who's actually in HR.
That's right.
So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions for myself or Latisha, please put it in the comments below. She also has her own business, like she said earlier, Cultivate HR. If you want more HR tips or more insights, she's on social media. We'll put that in there too in the caption if you want to check it out. If that's okay with you.
Yes.
And comment us your questions, and thanks for watching.